a little lay. Guccianese has struck early. Oh no!
It's been so long since it's been the two of us on stream. You remember this used to be normal? I'm actually so excited. This brings back the good old days, the memories, the nostalgia. How you doing, girly?
I'm trying to snag you for Thursday too, so you might get sick of me again yet. So,
like this coming Thursday, or just Thursdays in general?
I don't know. We need to bring back TCOM and need to do it more often for sure.
I mean, I've been waiting.
I know. I had all this filler stuff.
Yeah, your life's far more important than your world, girly. I'm just living in it.
Get out of here. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for showing up for our little movie review of movies that you might not have heard of. We watched them. We have feelings about them. This evening, The Secret of Roan Inish is one of my particular favorites. Probably top 3 of my go-to comfort movies. And it's really good. Leon, we were doing...
Nobody remembers. It's a film that nobody even knows. You showed me that, and I'm so excited to talk about it. Like, I had never heard this movie in my life about a year ago. And then I got a drunken chastising from this obnoxious redhead woman on the internet about needing to see it. So we watch it. And oh my God, it's adorable and amazing and underrated. And frankly, not for everybody. If I'm being 100% honest, like this is not a movie I think a lot of people are going to sit through and have an appreciation for. But I do really enjoy this. So thank you for showing it to me.
You're welcome. This is one we watched in a Discord watch party together, right? So got some live action or live reactions rather.
Yeah.
I love sharing this with people that haven't seen it. And like, it's one of those you wait to see what they're going to do when things happen. Because it seems like
locked the fuck in. And there were certain times because you were the one sharing the film. I was like, okay, pause it. Okay, because I didn't want to talk during it. I didn't want to make commentary. I didn't want to miss anything. So it's like every 20 minutes or so, I was like, okay, pause it. I'm trying to tell you if I what I thought was going on or what I assumed the story to be, because it's not clear what the hell this movie is about until an hour in.
It's a weird one. Like on the face of it, it does seem like one of those movies that would just be on one of the random channels during the day when you're homesick as a kid.
Yes.
Like just kind of slow boil, but lots of storytelling. It's something to have a hot cup of tea with, or a glass of whiskey, depending on your preference. But this is a movie that
I literally have cold tea and vodka. I'm so bad at this. I've got the exact opposite things to drink.
Vodka, like when I want to be conversational. Whiskey when I want to get sleepy. So it's kind of my formula. But this particular movie, not many people have seen, and our other two friends and other movie. What do we call them?
At this point, let's just call them co-workers, okay?
Co-workers, yes.
I'm joking, Brian and Dragon Slayer.
Well, Brian has a message for us. I didn't know if have you seen it yet?
I didn't watch it. I've been waiting for the show. I know he had a message. Okay. And I know what the plan was, and he sent one to you, but I've avoided it to be naturally surprised when you play it.
It's fantastic. I think we should play it at the beginning. Bring our buddy Brian in to give his thoughts on the movie. He doesn't really give away too many spoilers, but this show is going to give spoilers away. So hopefully it will intrigue you or pique your interest to watch the full film. It's really good, and it's one you can watch with the whole family, because it's just great storytelling, and it was.
There is not a single thing in this film that's it would be inappropriate for truly a wholesome family film. Again, assuming you don't have a kid with TikTok brain that can take the very slow burn this movie is. But it's so adorable. It's comforting. It's being snuggled in a blanket.
It's good. It's a big hug of a movie. But it has some people in it, the actors in it. Not many continued to do a whole lot of work. Jenny Courtney, the main character, Fiona, she didn't go on to do anything else acting-wise, which I thought was interesting. John Lynch, though, did. Tig, the cousin in the film.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I don't know my name. Oh, he's one
Yeah,
of the best characters in the movie. Yeah.
he's one of my favorite characters. Absolutely. He went on to. I just rewatched The Secret Garden, the 1993, I think, version, the best version.
I think I remember. I haven't. If this is the movie I'm thinking of, I haven't seen it in years. Is that the one about like the boy that can't walk or whatever? And okay, I haven't seen that since probably the third grade. He's in that.
He's in that. He's the dad that's got the humpback and stuff. So, and then he tucks
Okay.
away his kid for forever. Like the whole major Munchausen by proxy going on with
Mhm.
that film, because his mother died during childbirth. Anyway, really good film as well. But he went on to do that, and then the other show. He's been in a lot of things, but the other show that I recognize him in, I'm like, it's Tig. It's Tig from Secret of Roan Inish. It was The Fall with Gillian Anderson, the serial killer crime show that came out of the UK.
I
Have you heard of that one?
You said Gillian Anderson, like Scully Gillian Anderson?
Scully. Yeah.
No, but I do. Although, yeah, I only know her from one other thing, like majorly besides X-Files. She's the narrator for a really adorable family-oriented anime. You know Studio Ghibli, right? You're aware of
Yes.
Studio Ghibli? So they did a series, and some of the movies, like to my knowledge, the only series they did called Ronya the Robber's Daughter, and it's and she's the narrator for that, and it's adorable. Show it to all your young kids. It's a very good like anime for toddlers through like elementary schoolers, but you can watch this adult. But that's the only other thing I know Gillian Anderson from. Besides X-Files, one of the greatest shows of all time.
She was actually really good in this series, The Fall. I think there's like 3 seasons.
Never.
She puts on a British accent. She goes to
Well,
Ireland to
she's
help
actually
with
British,
the
so
kids. Oh, well, there's that. She's
I would hope
British?
she puts on a British accent. That's like her natural
I
statement. Yeah, no,
I was criticizing her British accent in my head. I'm so awful.
no. She actually said some really dumb shit relatively recently. I mean, within the last few years, about wanting to be the very first female James Bond. I was like, oh, honey, you're a good
That's
actress, but
bold.
no female James Bond for you.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Okay, so just to kick it off, as far as like what the story's about, because it seems a little weird. We're talking about this movie, family-friendly movie. There's a girl and a sea lion. What's the secret? I don't know. There's
Speaking of
lots of
secret, I've
talking in
been
it.
avoiding saying the title for this movie because I always want to call it The Legend of Roan Inish, not The Secret of Roan Inish. So I was like, I need to let Moxie say it first so I can get the proper. I've ever since you've shown me this movie, I've done that. I don't know what it is, but I always say Legend instead of Secret. I feel retarded.
Uh, well, we both are retarded, that's for sure. But
Fair enough.
that's neither here nor there at the moment. But so the description on IMDb is very minimal. Young Fiona lives with her grandparents in a small fishing village where she takes an active role to unravel the mysterious secrets. Of what? Of whom? That gives us nothing, right? So,
To be fair, the
I
movie
just
also doesn't give you anything again for like an hour in, which is good. I'm not criticizing for that. I like that because I was invested.
it's
And then
reeling you in like that little boat. What the f- is that little boat, you may ask? Well, you're going to have to watch or watch along. But the movie is free to watch on YouTube in its entirety. It's an hour and 42 minutes. And it does seem like it does seem like it has a slow start. But let's hear what Brian had to say about it. Uh, we'll go from there. This cracked me up, by the way.
Hey, what's up? This is Brian from Space Couch. Sorry I couldn't be there this week, but I really wanted to at least record something because, much like we were sort of talking about in the chat, I have like vague, weird memories of this movie and totally thought I was the only person to ever seen it. But the story I wanted to share is that we were at my family. I was like pretty young at the time, but we were at my grandma and grandpa's place, and you run out of stuff to do real fast. So like we ran out and rented some family friendly movie, and it was this thing, and we're watching it, and it's going along perfectly fine, perfectly normal family movie, and then the chick starts peeling her skin off to like be a seal underneath, and then my grandma walks in and is like, the hell are you guys watching? And then like leaves. And then at another point, I think it was when the little kid is running around buck naked on the island with his wiener flapping around, and my grandma walks in again with just what are you guys watching kind of expression. And my mom goes, Grandma only walks in at the weirdest times. And I was like, ha, ha, ha. How do you like it? Being that the purview, I think, of mothers everywhere is to walk in only during the worst and or spiciest time of whatever you're watching. So just to see that as an adolescent in reverse and know that it doesn't skip generations was sort of mind-blowing. Check out Rage Magus now at gasolineandvertebrate.bandcamp.com, featuring MOXIEDAME and Leon, and talking with Dragon Slayer commentaries now about getting him on Space Couch. So stay tuned for that. All right, thanks, bye.
Thanks, Brian.
Love that dude.
Love that dude. Love that dude.
He was so
That was
funny
really
on
cool.
X Day. He posted, I ate, me and my girlfriend got some chicken wings. And then she said, you want to take home the leftovers? He goes, no, the left wing is lame.
Oh my God. He's such a cheese ball. Love that guy. I'm happy for him in his new budding relationship. Rock on.
Oh, that wasn't just a joke. He actually does have a new girlfriend.
Yeah, he's been posting like here and there.
I thought it was just a setup for a joke. Well, man, congrats, Brian.
Hi,
yes,
Brian.
that was a recording.
It was a recording. So yeah, it doesn't really give you a whole lot in the beginning of the movie.
Right, it's free on YouTube. Instead of going through stills like we normally do, we can just go through the film.
I was thinking just kind of like skim ahead.
Yeah.
And like, I really love the way the grandfather talks, his voice, especially when he's telling the stories or leading up for the stories he tells. It's just too good. So I saved myself some time. I didn't bother with screenshots because this is available for everyone to watch for free. And I don't think, I mean, I get copyright claimed all the time. I don't give a fuck. But I don't think we will with this one. The other thing is the soundtrack for this.
Figure out what money is.
They don't even really tell you what year this is happening in, but it's like the early 1900s.
I remember we talked about it when watching the movie. I think we extrapolated like isn't it like the 30s or so?
It's around the time of the Industrial Revolution when people were fleeing their farmlands. The younger people wanted to go to the mainland, the cities, because it was more exciting and there were different types of jobs available, and they were seeking more of that lifestyle. So Industrial Revolution was that the 30s-ish?
I don't know when Ireland's Industrial Revolution. America was like the late or early 1800s, I believe. But let me see.
This was a little more modern than that. But so Roan Inish is
Irish Industrial Revolution was early 20th century. So I did a quick cursory Google search says early 20th century, which would be, I'd say the 30s of the early 20th century. Maybe even earlier than that, though. That ship looked very reminiscent of like, you know, the type of ships that like the Titanic and whatnot. So that'd be like more 1912. But
yeah, and somebody who has historical knowledge of like clothing and what people were wearing could probably easily identify it. But I am not that. So we have this. It starts out with this little blonde girl. She's on a ship and she's got a tag stuck to her like she's a piece of luggage. There's very minimal dialogue in the first.
Hold on, about right here. Yeah, 1910 to 1946. So we know it's after the fort, and we know it's yeah, bingo, bango, bong. I don't think I actually caught that the first because we actually talked about. I remember talking about it with you in the movie because I asked you when it takes place, but I guess I was just too dumb to realize in the first 3 minutes of the movie it actually does explain this is in at least the mid 40s.
Yes. So she's currently on the boat, but it's flashing back. There's lots of flashbacks to different time periods that were major milestones.
Sometimes there's flashbacks within flashbacks.
Yes. The Irish version of Inception. But the scenery is gorgeous. It's
and you were gonna bring up music. Oh, okay. So yeah. Pause it real quick because we get so much about this little girl just from this first scene. But this is the sort of music that I often like pop on in the background when I'm well, I'm cleaning a house, or if I'm playing video games, but it's a very calm Zen game. Like I'll listen to either like some sort of techno-y lo-fi or some sort of video game music, or again like Celtic, classic stuff. And yeah, that the it's a very powerful score in this film. Not powerful in a way like John Williams, powerful as in like it adds a lot to what's happening in the scene.
Right. And just like Irish music, Scottish, that type of music really hits me a little. Like it has an
I
emotional
wonder
tone.
why.
It has this emotional undertone to it, and then I connected. So I saw this movie when I was about 9 when it came out for rental, and then when I was 12, I remember I was on a field trip and we went to the Channel Islands, and I'm like walking around. I had my Discman, I had the soundtrack playing, and it was like the soundtrack of my life, and it was like so beautiful, like of an experience. I was having a great time.
Wow, you and I have very
Well,
different
because
soundtracks in our lives at that, because the soundtrack of my life when I would have been around 9 or so years old was probably the Space Jam theme. The Space Jam soundtrack.
All I'm saying is I was walking around on an island listening to the soundtrack of The Secret of Roan Inish, and we had little sea lions out in the water. It was an immersive experience for me, okay?
So
go ahead.
Go for it, I'm sorry.
No, you go.
So here at the beginning, we see her just exploring through the ship. Obviously, her parents are dead, or at least a family member is being shipped off. Yeah, at least her mom. I remember her dad was as well. I don't know if you know at this point.
We don't know yet, but
right.
She's walking into a pub right now.
Oh, for some reason I was thinking it was below decks of the ship. Is that?
Oh no, I'm sorry. She's working. She's going to the factory where her father works, and he's not there.
That's right. But she's a very inquisitive child who is very much in places where little girls in the 40s shouldn't be frequently. No care for social stigma.
Mm-mm. Have you seen those pictures of the workers, like the children workers, like in the mines? They're all dirty and have like a cigarette hanging out of their mouth. Like,
I feel like I have, but yeah, they're always like in the page boy hats and shit like that.
well, that's a racial stereotype. He's at the pub.
This actually is an Irish film, right? Like it was made in Ireland, the whole nine. So, I don't know if I can name any other actual Irish movies.
I'm not familiar with any. This particular scene, it is a foreign film. This particular scene, though, is interesting to me because you have all these like adults speaking in the background about her, and they have this shot just at her level, and the adults all talk. It's kind of reminiscent of like that one scene or that cartoon scene in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where you have the perspective of the baby and you see the legs of the grown-ups and all that stuff, because you're focusing on her level, what's happening around her, and they're talking about her like she's not there. She's kind of invisible and talking about what's best for her, and she's the piece of like luggage that does get the tag put on her. So that's kind of what kids were, I guess, or for some people.
And what would you be in a strange land without a mother's touch?
A drunkard?
You're already that. Jim, wake up, will you? It's your daughter.
Yeah, like Peanuts too.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say like Peanuts, but I was like, it seems too obvious.
Open your eyes. She looks as if she's raised in a tin box.
Fresh air.
Very cute kid, by the way. He's like a very adorable kid.
The poison fumes that's the air in this town. You have to take her to the country.
There's no work to be had at home. We're never going back to the island. That's done.
A lemon squash for you, dear.
It isn't a place to be raising a girl around here.
Yeah. See, like they don't show the people that are talking. They're just focused on her experiencing.
Why not send her off to her grandfather's place then?
Her surroundings.
You'd like that, wouldn't you, love? You'd like that.
And she's not speaking. She's very well mannered, knows her place, but that changed. Well, she's always well mannered throughout the film, but she's also we see more sides of her as the movie goes on. She's got a mischievous streak, things like that. But yeah, she's very polite and
she's cautious too. Like she observes her surroundings before she says anything. Like she's Muppet Babies.
Muppet Babies.
So we're not going to watch the whole movie, but there's some, she's a piece of luggage, like to so-and-so. And we see this like weird dynamic with her and the animals along the way. The seagull follows her around throughout the film. This sea lion, or seal rather, there's a difference. She refers to him as Jax. She gives him a name. And he's just kind of always around.
And she can tell him apart from all the others, can't she? Because there's multiple sea lions throughout the course of the film, and
those dark eyes.
God, I miss the days. Wait, great music.
Go ahead. You miss the days of what?
I want to appreciate the music for a moment.
Okay. I love the grandfather.
Oh, me too. He's so good. See how the music wells up as she's running towards him. It's
Father had to put me on the morning boat.
You climbed all this way up by yourself.
exactly. That's what I was gonna say. I miss the days we could just send little fucking kids out into the world to do their own things. Like, you know what? We trust you. Go, like you see all these movies or read these books. Like, oh yeah, the 10-year-old got on the plane themselves to go visit their father across the country because their parents are divorced. Like, that's how Hatchet starts, for example. If you read that book,
But for Jimmy,
God, I miss that. We coddle our kids too much.
I feel bad because there's other parents that let park at the bus stop and they handhold their child up to the bus. My kid's super independent, so we got to a point where I got comfortable parking close enough to the bus and just letting her out, and she runs so happy, like cartoon little kid happy, and she's been doing great. But then I see the other moms like walking their kid. I'm like, am I bad for this? No, she's doing fine.
No, you're not
She's
bad at all.
fine.
They're too attached. They know helicopter mamas up in this bitch. No, I actually over the course of the last 6 months or so, I don't know if there's an age where you're supposed to stop like kissing your kids on the lips or whatnot, but like it was always me and my kids' ritual is that like I would go to tuck her in for bed, I'd kiss on the lips, then we'd rub our nose, and then I'd turn out the light, the whole nine, and about 6 months ago, and to be fair, she's older now, she's 11 years old. She goes, no more, now on the head, the forehead. Is like, oh, I guess those days are over. And like, don't get me wrong, it's not in a weird way. And it's just like, right, so that's just another thing that's just another sign that times they are a changing. So
Yeah. So right here in this exchange, he talks about her dad and her dad's brother. And he said that things had been changing. And she said, not since Jamie. And you hear about Jamie for a bit. Little bit of mystery. And there's a sadness to the mystery of it. Her grandmother, I also love her voice. But granddad,
You and that island.
he's obsessed with his homeland, which is the island.
Milk she gave in Roan Inish.
Roan Inish is the land that their family and a couple of other families lived on, and they cultivated, and they had a life out there. Fishing was great. And then the younger generation, the next generation, they wanted to leave to the mainland. Because not many up
her dad, the first generation to not, I mean, because everybody leaves after a certain event in the film, including the grandparents as much as they don't want to. Now they live with the island across from that. It's still
they're on the mainland.
Oh yeah, it's not an island. I mean, I guess it's not an island. The point is they're still very close to Roan Inish, but like you can still go there by boat. Like she goes there by boat by herself or whatnot multiple times. You can see it from the mainland, but yeah, the grandparents didn't want to go, but due to events in the film, they sort of feel like they have to. All the families that live there, but yeah, her father's generation is like the first ones to not be raised. Is he not raised there, or does he just leave as an adult? I don't recall.
So the grandmother tells the story to Fiona, and she says that the younger people wanted to. There wasn't many opportunities to find wives on the island since it was just a couple of families that lived there. So they would go to the mainland, and that's where her dad met her mom. And then he brought her back, had Fiona, had her little brother, Jamie, spoiler. And then things started changing because there's an incident that happens where they lose Jamie. And so there's lots of storytelling surrounding how that happened. And then once they lost Jamie, the mother died. and Jamie was lost. So her father didn't want to be there anymore. He didn't want to live on the island. It was too many bad memories. So he went to the mainland with her brothers, and he's hanging out in the pub all the time because he's depressed. Hello, Bishop.
Which, I mean, to be fair, you know, losing your wife and kid will do that to a guy.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
I'd be a little bit
absolutely.
more shocked. I'd be a little bit more worried if it was like, yes, finally, the wife and baby are gone. Fuck yeah, time to party. Let's go. Like, yeah, no.
But the story that Tess, the grandma, tells about how they met, she went to church and she was this beautiful thing, this most beautiful creature that her father had ever seen. So she gets to hear these stories that because she was smaller when her mom passed and Jamie was lost, when things changed, she didn't remember all of the details of life on the island. So hearing the stories, now living with the old people, she's getting to get those memory gaps filled in or more context to the memories that she does have. And she wants to know what happened, about with Jamie, but
What's done is done. And there's
it's
no
too
use
hard for them
moaning
to
over it.
relive,
Why
to
did
talk
we have
about
to
that.
leave?
It was the young people, dear. Like your father and his brothers. They were restless on the island, and then came the war and jobs across the sea. And now, as they have the taste of the city in their blood.
City indeed. Nothing but noise.
So, yeah, when it says the war, I don't know if I put two and two together the first time. It must have been World War II because, yeah.
Tied in a raindrop if you shoved their face in the water.
But you and grandmother.
Oh, no. We couldn't start up from naught, living alone on an island. There isn't a thing out there for us but sad memories.
So what had happened after the incident, because they were moving off the island, Jamie was lost. The grandparents couldn't live on the island, sustain themselves on their own without the support of the family, the younger sons, and the other families that were moving inland. So they had to come to the mainland, even though they're on the coast still. They had to come to the mainland and rent a property from somebody who's basically going to turn it out to be an Airbnb for traveling tourists. So we learned that later that they're going to end up having to go further inland. So it's really hard for grandfather to cope with this. And then because they never actually found Jamie to be dead, there's always been some of them that have a hope.
Yeah, we'll explain, because there's the whole mystery of this film becomes
I've not set foot there since
Jamie. But here we have
evacuation.
another one of the best characters in the film.
Yes, Eamon.
He's so. He's the polar opposite, I guess is the best way to put it. Like while she's mischievous and curious, he's very much like I'm gonna prim, proper, stay in my lane, do it, do what I'm told by grandma and grandpa, and but he's very much influenced by the outgoingness or like the outgoing physical activities and whatnot that I'm blanking on her name. Oh my goodness,
Fiona.
Fiona does, yes, thank you.
Eamon also has this draw to the island and wants to go back. And he says, when I'm a man, I'm gonna go back to the island and I'm gonna live there,
But he won't. But that's part of the. As a kid, he's like duty bound to the grandparents, and he's not willing to. He's not willing to take the leap that that Fiona is as a kid. So again, the prim, the proper, yeah, it's great.
Ooh, this story. Oh, this story is one of the best ones in the film. So there's no television back then. They don't have a radio. So it's storytelling around the fire. And grandfather is so good at telling the stories. And he tells the stories about their family. And this story he starts with is a story about his great-grandfather, I believe.
Yep.
The sea gives, the sea takes away.
He's so cool.
This is my father's father's father now. Keneally man. When he was only a few years older than you are now. His name was Sean Weichel. Smart boy, dark-haired, bit of the rebel in him. Though times weren't as hard on the island as they were on the mainland, it's never easy pulling a living from the sea. The English were still a force in the country then. They had the schools.
Fuck the
their
English.
Language and their ways that you had to learn there, or else.
I see
There was a new schoolmaster in the school one year, as stiff as a cat's whiskers he was.
I love the descriptions.
And Sean Wykel wasn't a week in his class before he put the cingulum about his neck. It was a punishment of those days for speaking Irish within his earshot. Sean Wykel stuck it for as long as he could, for he had a strength of character. But the shame was too great, and he tore it from his neck, and he went for the schoolmaster and began to beat on the man, crying out,
Ni misset the asla and the galda! I sus the hone!
You, please. It's a little girl.
You don't understand, do you, girl?
I don't have any Irish.
More's the pity of it.
Aye. Now, Sean Wykel's father had great hopes for the boy, clever as he was, that he would learn to read the Englishman's language and study his laws and grow to be a leader for his people. But there was his son,
Really?
bloody anger in his heart,
Yay.
standing before him.
We find each other
"Need
some
to
way,
kill me to
eventually.
make me go back," he says. His father sighed then and looked out at the sea beyond them. "You'll have nothing now," he said, "but the black rocks and the wild waves and the hard sky above you." And wasn't it his first right trip out with his father that a fierce storm from the north blew over them? Sean Wykel, his father, his brothers, his uncles, and his cousins, 4 boats in all, and it took them in its terrible grip and lifted them high and turned them over and slapped them back down into the boiling black sea with the scraps of their currachs around them. His father caught in their net and dragged below without a whisper. Out as far as they were in a northern storm, an experienced fisherman will swallow his draught of water and swim to the bottom. For to fight the cold sea is only to prolong your suffering. But Sean Wykel was green with it, and he flailed and he cried out, and he beat the water with his legs and arms till the sea grew to hate him and refused to swallow him up.
I love this so much.
Like you all seen the like memes, the man too angry to die. This is the classic Irish version of that.
It's a full day
And then we
later.
get any man's
not.
dream
People
right
gathered
here.
muscles in the strand.
The sea got sick of him and said, "Get out of here."
And afraid to touch him. But it was women mostly, soft-hearted as they are. The boy was more dead than alive, cold as ice to the touch, and there wasn't a fire in Ireland could bring the blood of life back into him. This is the time when the country people still lived with their beasts inside. And the woman as owned the house they brought him to said, "Here, bind them up to my cow." And then she brought another alongside, and their heat went out through him.
Oh, it'd be so
Soon
toasty.
He began to shiver, and then he began to shake, and then he slept like a Christian for hours and hours. When he started to sweat, the woman cut him loose from her animals, and they bathed him and wrapped him in blankets warmed in the heart.
Waddled him up. I'm just gonna stare at you. Watch you sleep.
Mm-hmm.
He woke to their faces above him, all women and girls. "Is this heaven then?" he said.
Yes.
"No, lad," said the woman of the house. "It's only Chatdin." Now, Chatdin is the islands where the people thought that the souls of all Ireland's dead were held to rest. And so Sean Wykel believed he had drowned and come to the hereafter.
Am I in heaven?
It was a seal that brought me here, he told them. I was sinking under, destroyed by the effort of keeping my head above the swell. And a
Music.
body, warm body, came under me and lifted me up. It was a seal from the feeling inside, a great dark seal that bore me along through the storm and I hugging its neck. That's all I remember till I woke to your faces above me. And now, with his father and brothers and uncles and cousins all gone, there's only Sean Michael left to keep the Keneallys alive in these islands.
And you saved by sea?
And 2 cows.
And a woman has had her wits about her.
It's a wonderful story.
There's some think so. And there's some say they should never save a drowning man. What the sea will take, the sea must have.
That's a lot of foolishness, Hugh.
It's said that some that are saved turned wicked afterwards.
So it's
What
another
happened to Shawn
dichotomy you
Michaels?
see between the grandparents in this is that it's actually the reverse. Excuse me, the reverse of a lot of storytelling where the grandfather, he's the mystical one, the one that believes in all the mythologies and omens and things like that effect, where you've got a very pragmatic grandmother.
Very
and so
Catholic.
yeah, very Catholic, and
Very
it's
Catholic.
it's great because it offers, if you want to talk about, like, on Nick's channel, for example, we talk about masculine Mondays and what masculinity is in films, and this is the type of masculinity you usually don't see in a lot of films because often the role is reversed. You're usually gonna have the stern, hard-faced grandfather who is like the logical one, and but no, I like this. I think it fits the family dynamic very well.
Well, and it makes sense too, because a lot of the times, yes, ideally the father is the spiritual head, but a lot of the times, like that, there's a saying, right? The husband is the head, the woman is the neck, kind of thing. Can hold up the head, can do all the things. She's the backbone to keeping that religious cohesiveness in their home. He really doesn't care, but he respects her and he respects her faith. He's not like anti the faith, but he does allow for the woo woo because there have been these, especially because these mythological stories have come so close to the stories that have been passed down generationally in his own family that he wants to believe and he's willing to like entertain them more than she's like, no.
Yeah, he gives them power. Like, to him, this isn't just a story. That's when she says, it's a lovely story. Some think so. Like, even he believes it, but he doesn't know how he feels about it because there's so many connotations to it. And yeah,
and they don't go
there's
hand
the
in hand.
Catholicism right there.
Oh yeah, very Catholic. So she sleeps. She has dreams about the island. She's gonna go take coffee down to her granddad or tea, whatever. He's working on the tar for the boat.
Just kept stirring the tar in this bucket here.
Oh.
I love it.
She's so sweet.
The olden
She
times,
does.
people
This
used
was a-
cowhide on their cutters. And it was calico. Now we make do with canvas.
Everything's a history lesson
Ah,
with
that's what it
grandfather.
always was.
It's great.
Yeah, like it's almost like exposition. He's an exposition machine, but it's something that a grandfather would actually do, so it works. It's not bad exposition like we have in movies nowadays.
And this
Like
little
some tea,
spy has been following her since she was on her way to the
I'll roast them
island.
up for you.
And she's very curious about the circumstances surrounding her little brother's disappearance or what happened to him. But she's also, again, very cautious in the way that she interacts with the world. She watches
See the
everything.
sunlight last night.
Very intentional when she says things.
Light is it? What light might that be?
The one Ewan spoke of on Roan Inish.
Huh? There's plenty of things could be taken for a light in the dark. And no telling how far off they might be.
You just want me to forget about Jimmy.
Well, none of us forget him, dear.
Yeah. So granddad, he just knows that it's really difficult for the grandmother to talk about. So he's just like, keep quiet on it. We don't mention that. We don't talk about it because it upsets grandmother.
Imagine we don't talk about Bruno, but good. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, I don't like that movie.
I haven't seen it. I've only seen
You're
clips.
not missing anything.
I didn't
All
think
the
so.
people had rode out and most of the goods. There's only your
This
father.
is another
and brother
flashback.
ashore,
Because he's saying what had happened the
Wee
day that
Jamie.
Jamie disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
sleeping in his cradle.
In his cradle.
Aye. Pulled up on the beach.
The soundtrack is just so good and pairs up so well with this what's happening in the moment, capturing the emotion of the moment.
We're supposed to be, like reviewing the movie, but I don't know why you don't catch myself sucked in when you hit play. It's like, oh right, this is
I know. I just want to watch it. So the younger people were wanting to move to the mainland, and so there was like a big evacuation, moving day for everybody. And they put little Jamie in his little crib, little boat crib, next to the water. Who does that?
I mean, the same people that invented whiskey, so
True.
land of the bad decision.
The island, it's basically trying to express that the island is pissed at them. The ecosystem of the island, the wildlife has a spirit to it.
And more seal imagery.
When you were watching this for the first time, you were on board for it, but you didn't know what was happening.
No idea what was happening. And there's a moment in this film when it clicked for me. But I'll wait till we get there.
You were very exclamatory about it.
Yeah.
It's great. But the intensity of the music swelling, building up to the, it's so beautifully done. There's such a spirit about the island that even the storms surrounding the island are involved, right?
Whole ass rescue operation for this one baby. You guys know you can make more, right?
Well, I mean, to be fair, they do give up.
Actually, that's true. You're right.
So grandfather's still telling the story of what had happened that day. She was a little too young to remember. And maybe didn't understand why no one talks about Jamie. But he's painting the picture of the circumstances of how they lost Jamie. Bye, kid. Go live with the seals. He can't speak yet.
I was about to say, like it does. Bye, Dad. Like he's like a few months old.
Right. So Jamie gets left. She's still.
They're coming by. I don't know how the cradle could have made up so much speed.
Yeah.
See,
It seemed like there was a supernatural force happening, or like pushing the cradle out further.
Angry with us for leaving Roan Inish.
And he did say, "With the sea taketh," right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of it. The stories all have parallels. It's still very consistent, and
Yeah,
it just goes.
This is the almost the sea, taking back Jamie for letting Shawn Michael go.
Well, and the family is abandoning Roan Inish. Oh no, we're taking this one. We're keeping this one. You can't have him. He's ours now. So Eamon, who's her cousin, he's going to go out fishing with grandfather. And he knows that Tess, the grandmother, would not want her out on the boat. So she's got to stay there. However, she forgets, or she's like, oh, they forgot the sandwiches. And so she sits in the little boat at the dock. Oh no, my bad. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah. I don't think that's happened yet.
So Yeah, that happens later. So he's like, your grandmother wouldn't let you out with the weather being so, not great. So she sees that the sun is shining and everything's great. So she wants to go out on the boat with them this time. And so they do actually take her, they drop her off at the beach where the homes were. They're now, broken down, unkept.
And ours was the one beyond?
And they're like, be back
She
here.
doesn't have
We'll pick you
memory
up.
of living here, correct? Like she's it's almost like seeing it for the first time, right? Because like she knows she lived here, but she doesn't remember like the houses and stuff to that effect.
She's supposed to be about 8 years old?
Something like that, yeah.
And it's been probably about 5 years since they left the island, considering Jamie's age. She's probably 8 or 9, so maybe she was about 4 when they left the island.
Yeah, I know. I was focusing on it so hard.
Also, I cannot find the soundtrack on like Spotify or any other music platform, but the soundtrack is available on YouTube. There's a playlist out there. You can listen to the whole thing. I frequently do.
The internet never forgets.
There's still somebody out there that's thought of what you've thought of at one point in one time.
The real MVP.
Yeah. So we'll skim ahead a little bit, but she sees that somebody's been in the houses. There's fresh shrubbery there that looks like a little bed. There's like the flint rock that somebody's been making fires in the home. And it's like, who is going out to the island and doing these things? Right? And she's...
Do you miss it greatly?
Roan Inish.
She's like, somebody's been in the houses, and they're like, no,
Yeah, they don't believe
that's
her
impossible.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So she's like,
shite, I
why
can
don't we go
think
back
it.
to the island?
I've only the picture in my mind of your poor little brother floating
That's
away.
The only real tragedy in life is young people passing on before their time.
I always remember his eyes. Dark they were.
Another
The great
theme.
soul behind.
Yep.
The dark eyes.
He was here before. Jamie.
Tess, don't start.
So then she goes into town with grandmother. She meets some of the
We get-
locals.
We
And
get what might
there's-
be my favorite scene in the whole film.
With Tig.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they go into town, and there's this whole like shroud of mystery around their family, some like dark mark, if you will, on the Keneally family. So this kind of
Old
jerk
Tess.
face, he's a bit of a dick,
I like this guy, to be fair. He's
but he does
Before.
give her some
Dark
insight.
ones.
Hey?
You said before that it wasn't a dark one.
Haven't they?
When he says a dark one, he's not referring to the color of her skin, by the way.
yeah, this is
Told you.
Tell me what?
Come along then.
now. Here's a reference. If you ever have a oddly shaped mustache man tell your child to come along with him alone, do not let them
To
do
the-
it. It's irresponsible
to the-
grandparenting.
To the back
Here's
of the
an
store.
example
No,
for you. I could be your father's.
I'm gonna
first
step away,
cousin.
but I can still hear.
Once in a generation, the Keneallys split out a dark one.
Like my brother Jamie?
Aye. Tig would be the one ahead of him.
Will he know me?
You can talk to me if you like, but there's no saying if he'll talk back. He's a bit special, if you know what I mean.
Now, you'll come to find out. And I don't know if Mox will be back in time and he'll end up getting skipped through. But Tig is not special. He's very selective about who he talks to, what he speaks about. Because he's closed off, he's to himself. But
I'm Fiona. Fiona Keneally. You know my father?
I know you.
You do?
You're after something.
very
am?
perceptive guy.
It's plain as day.
We'll find it.
I have no idea of the future. I can see the past quite well. And the present, if the weather's clear.
Leave off, Tig. You're frightening the wee girl.
She's not easily frightened, this one. Am I right? You know why I'm dark?
Because his brain's full of shoe polish and it's leaking off out of you. Easy, Tig.
That's a true Irish response right there.
The Keneallys first came to Roan Inish.
And now we get
He's so
another
dishy.
flashback. Again, this is flashback the movie, but it's so good.
There's
They built their
stories
meager
within the
homes
story.
on the beach, and the seals and the birds moved aside to make room for them. There's only a few families and all related.
And this is the true story. This is the premise for the entire film, is the story that he tells about their great, great, great family member.
So when it came time to find a mate, it was elsewhere you had to look. There was a boy among them, Liam, who always preferred to be alone. He set his own traps, built his own curragh, and sat alone at all the family gatherings.
Yeah, that's my table.
One day, walking out around the outer islands, he saw a thing his eyes could scarcely.
Notice how every single male in this family looks like they could be related
In
to
them
John
days,
Bernthal.
Seals was haunted for their oil
Yeah.
and hides,
Am I wrong?
clubbed to death and made into coats and pouches and pamputis for the feet. But Liam never took part in it, for he believed, as many did then, that there was no worse luck than to harm a seal.
Pervin on that seal.
I'd seen a selkie, a creature that's half.
And it was
human
at this
and half
moment
beast.
it clicked for me when we were watching it, because I had only in real life learned what a selkie was in the prior like year or two, because it was my sister-in-law's like favorite mythological creature, and I only knew about them based on what she told me. I'd never heard of selkies, nothing like that. The only like image I had was there's an anime where one of the main characters is he's part selkie, and that was like the extent of my knowledge. And so that and her talking about them, and so when he said the line, it's a selkie, I was like, oh, this is a mythological movie. Like it's more than just it's all real. Like what the grandfather's saying, it's not just woo woo. It's not just like, oh, this we're about to dive into like there's cryptids and it's real, and it's gonna be a story of family and generations, and like almost like did you ever see the movie or read the book Holes?
Yeah, it's
Do you
been a
know
long
that
time, but yeah.
if you forget to bring Madame Zeroni up the mountain, your family will be cursed for always. And the curse is only lifted years later when like the main character Stanley meets the boy Zero, and turns out they're like the long lost family member relatives, stuff like that. But like I got the same vibe when I'm from this. Like, oh, it's yeah. Again, this is when it clicked. It's all real. He's gonna have. I'm not gonna explain what happens yet, because we'll get there. But like, and we're what 40? Was it 43, 48 minutes into the movie?
43 minutes in, but it was one of these moments that was like an outburst from you. That was more of like an, oh my God, I love this.
Oh my God, I love this.
You were so excited, and I get so excited when people are excited. But okay,
I don't know if it was right at this moment, but it's sometime during this story where that's where it clicked. I got very excited. I was already enjoying the movie, but I had no concept. I wasn't sure what to make of it. I was like, okay, this is cute. It's heartwarming. The music's good, but I still wasn't sure where it was going. It all comes together in this scene.
And
yes,
just to note, like the visual effects, the practical effects, so good. Like, I don't know, for the time, for the budget of the film. I'm not sure what the budget was, but
2 shillings.
Old stories told of such creatures luring ships onto the rocks and pulling sailors down into the drink. But all Liam knew was he'd never seen a woman so lovely in all his life.
That he wasn't related to either. This would probably be one of those times where Brian's grandma walked in. What are you watching?
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, I don't want to think about what they had to do to get this effect, though.
Ew.
I mean, look at the seal casing, shedding, whatever it is.
Leather coat. Is it? And look at those hairy legs. It's a way God made you. Natural.
Now it was said that whoever could capture the hide of a selkie would have it in their power to command as they would. The selkie maid had seen men before, fled from their fishing hooks and their spears and mattocks, but never had she seen one as glorious handsome as Liam Keneally.
Ah, the budget was $5 million.
$5 million in 94. I wonder what that is adjusted for inflation.
Oh, good night, Lucifer the Doberman. Have fun at the airport. Ugh.
All the islanders had seen Liam row
myself
out
a
to sea
wife.
alone. And now all saw his return with the strange girl.
Almost $11 million. This movie was made for almost $11 million.
Island people is a careful lot. Not likely to pass judgment on another person's business in public. There was something so unearthly about the girl that soon set their tongues to wagging. And there was much shaking of heads when Liam married the stranger.
He was so dishy.
She hardly spoke at all. And when she
Yeah,
did
he's a
fire,
very
she was queer
handsome man.
more ancient than their grandfathers' grandfathers. And when they asked him where he'd found her, with her great dark eyes and her wild black hair, he'd only say Trebeg. Of course, this was nonsense, as it was only a speck in the ocean that even the seals had to leave when the tide was high. And she'd always be at the water, looking out at the seals and the birds.
What are the Pokemon that stick out?
And she'd come back each day with her hands full of shellfish and seaweed.
Like from the ground though, not water.
Yeah.
In a manner all
The Diglets.
It's actually one of my favorite Pokemon from that original generation.
But all had to admit,
So she made
good
this
wife for
seaweed
Liam.
soup that has been passed down for generations. So,
Before long,
like you
she was
said, this
asking him
isn't
to
just
build a cradle for
recounting
their first
mythology or the mythos of the,
it must be made
culture.
at the wood of a
It's
ship that
specific to
sailed
their
the ocean,
family.
she told him. And there'll be no
And she
need
was
for
about to give
rockers, for
birth.
it will rock
She's like,
on the
no,
motion of
I
the
need a
sea."
cradle like this.
It was the queerest looking thing. More of a
Queer.
ship than a cradle. And carved with shells and fish and seaweed.
As we know, like this is what Jamie would later find himself in, and he more of a ship. That's why he was carried along by the sea. And
So this was at least 6 generations old.
And whenever the day was calm, didn't they put
Right.
the babe afloat on the water,
yeah,
rocking on the sea?
Because Shawn
With the ripple
Michael
of the
was
waves against the
younger than
hull.
him, or
I
was
think
he older?
she would actually be Generation 7 if I'm counting right.
Ah,
Because
all the Keneally
I think the
babies.
dad is the 6th generation if I
Now
did
the
the math
years
right.
passed, and Liam
That
and
little baby
Nuala,
ship
for that's
held
what
up.
the Selkie called herself,
They just don't make them like they
Nuala.
used to.
and their love grew and
So the Selkie lady called herself Nuala. Fiona's name is Fiona. Fun factoid: my old pugs, the blonde one is Fiona, the black one is Nuala, and the name is actually from the same name. The name is actually Fionnuala from the Gaelic one. But I'm a
I don't know
nerd
if I
for
knew
this.
that part.
I am a nerd for this movie. Yeah, Fionnuala is the actual original name. I mean, so far back. But then they break it down to Fiona and Nuala. So, well, fun factoid. I am such a nerd for this film. Ugh.
they had many children. With all that, there was always a touch of sadness about Nuala. She spent long hours looking out at that she'd come from, and listening to the cries of the seals on the outer islands. One of these afternoons,
And
it was her
then
eldest, who was called Fiona, said the words to her that changed it all. Cain fa go will cotta leather I wallach ag mahar since cry. Why does father hide a leather coat in the roof?
This is yours now. Gotta go. And one of the next lines that he
Way to
says
break
is,
stereotypes. Normally it's the father that leaves. The women usually just drown their kids. But no. She goes. Goodbye.
Later that evening, as Liam was rowing home, he was followed by a solitary sea. It seemed joyous in its movements. It rolled and dived within the waves, joyous in the sleekness of its body. But its eyes, as with all its kind, held a sadness as deep as the soul. The seal left him at last.
in this movie it is.
Liam
Because
felt
all
a
the dark
great
ones with the dark
emptiness
hair and the
inside,
dark eyes.
fear. He rowed furious for the
I'm
shore,
not
even
sure
though
if
the
generally
sea
that's
was heavy
the
on his oars.
explanation.
When he got home,
Maybe a little
the
both.
faces of his children told him his fears were true. For once a selkie finds its skin again, neither chains of steel nor chains of love can keep her from the sea.
I love that one so much.
And like you don't
From
really
that
know how
day
to
on,
feel about this. At least I didn't when I first watched
was
it, because
forbidden to harm a seal.
by the one token, again, she does love him, and she was a good wife and a good mother and all that. But there's also the nature of she's not fully human. She's not for this world, this life, and so yeah, like abandoning your family is normally it would be a terrible thing, but she's
not
a
human.
creature of this world.
Right. She's not supposed to be there.
Right.
Like they can take off their skin and bathe in the sun and feel like stretch out and whatever, but they're not supposed to be in that form all the time. And so like there's this like sadness about her, this like aching for the sea, even though she's like she can splash around in it, whatever. That's not her nature to be in that form. So it's like neither steals or chains of steel or
Chains
bonds
of
of
steel
love.
or yeah,
Yeah,
Chains of
can't
Love.
keep her away, and she's splashing around and she sees him and he's like visibly saddened, and there's the big sad eyes because she knows that this is a hard decision for her, but she knows where she has to be. So
Well,
that's the
see, I actually took it differently when I first watched it. It was not even that she knows where she has to be, but it's more of an instinct. Like I mean, maybe you could say the two are one and the same, but it's like she didn't even have to. There was not a lot of thinking that went into making the decision because instinctually there was no decision to even make.
but she did love him. She loved her
Yeah.
kids. So there are levels to like the emotional connection of this creature versus just being a mom. So he did see that there was sadness, but also joy because she was in her own form that she should be in. It's kind of what I got out of it.
And he accepts it and he mans up and takes on responsibility. And he raises those goddamn kids.
He does.
The island.
And
And
it was the
man
time
and
of
beast
clubbing
lived
seals for
side
lots
by
of things. They
side,
weren't allowed to
sharing
do
the
that
wealth
anymore.
of the sea. And
Because they're
sometimes
family
the
now.
ladies would see her out in the waves, basking in the sun on Trebeg, watching them, watching her children.
And she stuck around.
And the cradle was passed down through the years, with each new infant of the Keneallys rocked upon the waves within it. And every so often, there'd be one born with the dark eyes and the black hair that the selkie had left in their blood. And these dark ones were most at home at sea. Great sailors and fisher folk, every one of them.
Like Tig here, he's an admiral in the Royal Navy.
Fiona, get out from there. Your grandfather's ready.
And so grandma's like, did he frighten you? And she's like, no. Like he said, you don't frighten easy, do you? And she's like, nah.
This is the only scene with Tig, right?
We see him out in the boat fishing with his bare hands, like grabbing.
I do. Yeah, I remember that. I forgot about that. He's such a pivotal character for only having a grand total of like 10 minutes of screen time in this whole movie.
So he's the connection in the modern time that he's like, basically, I'm living proof of the story. And so
I'll go into the cottage and
she's
wait
going
for
out with
you, I
Eamon. She wants to go back to the island because she's
Have
got this
they
feeling somebody's
around? Have they made the plan yet for what they're going to do? In case they haven't, I want to say what it is. No, okay, gotcha. She's just curious about what the footprints and stuff like that.
She feels a connection to the island and she wants to be there. And also there's a little bit of suspicion and mystery about like, there's somebody been in our house kind of a thing. So she like, Eamon's like, I'll drop you off when the sun's at like 3 fingers height or whatever. I'll meet you back on the beach to pick you up and take you home. And you can't tell grandmother, grandfather about this because they would have my hide. She takes the little accident.
And I'm sure you're oh so familiar with that. You really relate to this character.
I do. She dreams about the Selkie woman. She's a strange looking woman. She's back and forth with...
She's unconventionally attractive. She's kind of like Riley Gaines, actually. Like she looks built for the water. Am I wrong?
No, not wrong. She does have like this otherworldly quality because she's not conventionally beautiful. I would say she looks super masculine. Feature by feature, I wouldn't say pretty, but I had seen her in a different movie. Was it Sliding Doors? Something 90s. And she looked like her, but obviously modern times makeup and hair and all that. She looked a lot prettier. But for this, they were... I don't know if you noticed this, but all the women in this that they've shown in the flashbacks were pretty damn homely.
Yeah. To be fair, though, there's still some very pretty ones about that because you can tell it's a very natural beauty. Like when Sean wakes up surrounded by the women, there's a couple of them that are very pretty girls. Like
there are a couple cute ones in there. So she goes about the island and she comes across a naked little boy. You don't see anything. So Brian's saying his little thing.
What's that sunblock they sell with the dog ripping at the girl's, bathing suit and stuff? It's no different than really that. You know what I mean?
So Brian was talking about his little ding dong flapping around and everything. And you don't actually see it, but he gets in his little boat and he's like, I'm out of here.
Peace out, bitches.
Yes, I'm going home. So she's like, holy shit. What I thought was real. He's actually here. We didn't lose him at all. He's still on the island because she never gave up hope, right? And so when Eamon comes back, he's like, you're having fever dreams.
Dropped him when he ran.
Because she sounds like she's had a fever dream. Listen to her.
Where?
In his cradle. He sailed away around the rocks.
Just talk of spirits out here, you know.
He wasn't a spirit. He's a little boy. I saw the flowers he pulled up. He dropped them when he ran. Can a spirit do that?
She's got such cute indignation.
I saw him.
Cute.
I do believe you. But you mustn't tell our grandparents about what happened today. You weren't even supposed to be out here.
But if they knew...
They'd only think you were dreaming it all. Let me think about it. We'll come up with a plan. Agreed?
Agreed.
And again, Eamon's very practical, very pragmatic. He's actually more like the grandmother, whereas she's very much like the grandfather.
Mm-hmm. And this is the point where they had gotten the news that the people that own the house that they're living in on the mainland are going to open it up as an Airbnb, basically, to tourists from the Americas, because the Americans are assholes.
Hey, we may be assholes, but we pay well.
Yeah, but here's the thing about the Keneally's, as mentioned before, they in their blood, they're tied to the sea. So it hurt him to leave the island, first of all. Right now, they're right on the water. They're gonna have to travel further inland to afford rent somewhere else. Meanwhile, they own the homes on the island. They own those houses. They just can't sustain themselves on their own to exist there. Who needs adult? The kids will handle the mythical missing kid, right? So now grandfather's upset and he doesn't want to talk about it. And grandmother's like, don't mention it. He's a really upset. He's spaghetti. And So the next scene we see is grandfather and Eamon are going to go back out fishing, and this is where she's carrying the sandwiches and whatever. But it's really foggy that day.
I'm talking about. We can't take this wee one out with dirty weather coming up.
Oh, clear, you'll see.
So you're an expert now, are you? I'm sorry, but your grandmother would never forgive me if you took a chill.
You see nothing but grey water in a day like this anyway.
It's for the
They
best.
talk about the dark ones with the dark eyes and the dark hair having like old souls, like how her grandmother described Jamie. Fiona also has those qualities about her, where she has kind of an old soul,
Sandwiches.
even if she's not a dark one. Eamon was an older man to me when I first watched this, and I thought he was so cute.
Oh, he like he was older than you at your age?
Because I was like 8 or 9 when I saw this. I'm like, oh, he's so handsome. Also, Tig.
Is that you?
But Eamon, I distinctly recall thinking about him as an older man.
Probably closer to your age than mine, but somewhere around. Because I mean, film came out in what, 95,
94.
94. She was 8, 9 years old, something like that.
I think she's a couple years older than me. But for the character, she's supposed to be about 9 years old.
Yeah, point is she should be in like her early 40s in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Because like with the way the movie is set and whatnot, it looks old. Like it looks older than it is. This is a movie that, because of the setting, because of the practical effects, because it's set in such an old time, you forget that this is actually a comparatively recent film. And so this is not like some old dead actress. This isn't a Marilyn Monroe, nothing like that. Like
Now this came out when Jurassic Park came out.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's not that long ago. But this is a really good quality.
Falling out.
Still there.
I know. I was like, what is that Brett doing for her? Nothing. So she's just sitting in the boat with the sandwiches, like, oh, shoot, grandfather and Eamon left without their sandwiches. And something chewed through the ropes.
Is anybody
And somehow, oh, hi, Jax. No oars, nothing.
Again, more than mythological. It's like the boat is going to take her where she needs to be, guided by her spirit seal.
Look at little
yeah, the bobbing head. I love it.
Past a buoy, she's still floating around. Suddenly she's at the beach where the houses are. Little bit of woo-woo. It's a conspiracy with the sea and... Correct me if I'm wrong, but do you get the feeling that the weather changed to create the scenario for her to be taken out by herself?
I would think it almost had to be, because they've talked about the weather multiple times, and she's never been able to go out when the weather is like that. So it's almost like it's been trying to make this happen. Now it's finally found the perfect scenario.
Sandwiches. Fresh spring on the island. They have everything they need. It just takes a lot of work.
You could even say it's Irish Spring.
Oh my goodness. Where's my drum?
We
I
got
have
it,
one in there. It's too far to get.
Jimmy, it's me, Fiona. Jimmy. Jimmy.
So we're going to skip ahead because there's lots of just her. Oh, and then she has more fever dreams. memories, actually, of when she actually lived on the island. Her mom singing to her. Creepy crabs. This song is called The Crab Walk. It's always so unnerving to me.
Is it because of the visuals of the crabs as well? Like the
visuals, and also just like the violin has this kind of harshness into it. Like I don't know. It always creeps me out. The Crab Walk song in the soundtrack.
Well, I mean, I'll eat anything, lobster, dolphin, shit like that. But like, I've never even tried to buy a crab because there's something about them just seems alien. So yeah, they're unnerving creatures. Like, have you seen like the little shorts and whatnot, where even after they're dead, they still like move around and are breaking out their packaging and stuff? It's
no,
unnerving.
thank you.
It's unnerving. But now it picks up again.
It's like Hobbiton. Like, Hobbiton?
Hobbiton. Yeah, Hobbiton.
Yeah, Paul saw this like randomly on an Amtrak ride from California to New York, where they only show like the same 3 movies over and over and over. I love hearing the way that people have discovered this movie, because like I don't know of anyone who actually saw it in any theater. It was just, I think we rented it from somewhere when it came out, but I don't know of anyone who actually saw it. Look at him having not a stitch on him. He's at your cousin's house. But how did your cousin find it? Was it just a random rental? It was rated G, so yeah, mom and dad won't be mad about it.
Jimmy!
Look at him,
fast little fucker.
The speed on that naked little kid.
No, Jimmy! Don't go!
It's me at the beach.
Sister!
Screw you, bitch. Interrupted our tea party.
Jimmy!
That kid, every time you see him, especially when he's in the boat, he looks so cold. I love seals.
Why must you always run from me?
So she ends up.
I think it was a movie they were allowed to watch. Okay, fair enough.
See, that's the thing. I grew up in a very conservative, religiously conservative household, and we weren't allowed to watch certain rated movies. So it's like, if you go to the movie rental store, it's like, oh, this one's rated G. We can watch that. Okay. So,
boy, you know you can understand.
So she petitions the sea creatures.
You can understand me. Give him back. Do you hear? He's a little boy. He belongs with his family. I know you've taken care of him, but he has to live with people now. I miss him so, and so does grandmother and grandfather, and all the rest. Miss him terrible. We came back. Would you give him to us? We came back here to Roan Inish. Is that what you want? Are you still there?
We saw a fire!
Grandfather!
It's a sail the water. It's cold. It's dark. We catch a chill.
You catch a chill. So she goes on to be like, he was having tea with a little seal, and they're like, oh no, she's got the fever, so we better get her back. I just love this movie. I just want to watch it all, but this is not. And grandfather's like, this is because you talked to your cousin Tig, right? He put all these like stories in your head and all that, whatever. Even though he
that's pot calling the kettle black, because grandfather also be telling stories and whatnot. You can't be upsetting spaghetti, old man.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
but Tig is weird.
The pot calling the kettle dark one, I should say.
But Tig is weird. He's an outsider. He doesn't really fit in with society because he is of the sea. He's got that in his blood, and he's just an oddball. Also aggressive, as we've seen. Maybe more aggressive than the average Irish bear.
Big, isn't it? He put all this into your head.
But
Not
Grandfer,
another word now. Then get in that curragh. And I need silence. Think of some likely excuse for your grandmother.
The 90s is when they still made family movies. Now they're all very adult or cartoons without much in between. Or I saw this recent post that somebody was watching one of the Ninja Turtle movies, and it was them in high school, and they paused it and they zoomed in on the cork board that was in their high school, and everything was pride, trans, like all kinds of
Really?
stuff on the. Yes, I bookmarked it. I'll have to send it to you. But yeah, it was a different time. We could just make family movies for the sake of making a family movie without any sort of indoctrination. Imagine that.
I really can't think of the last non-animated like true blue family film that I've seen that like isn't made for kids, isn't made for adults, but literally is just made to sit around on with your family on the couch, kids on the floor, things like that. Makes you got some popcorn that you're all sharing around. Like I can't think of the last movie I've seen that was like that.
It was
At
just
least
enjoyable for everyone.
Yeah, at least to a small scale, sort of like you could say movies like Godzilla versus Kong are like popcorn films for the whole family because it's it's
Oh my
giant
God.
monsters. There's not really much swearing or anything like that in them, but like those are still big budget Hollywood stuff. There's nothing just small scale and intimate.
Yeah. Hey, simpler times that appreciated the even simpler times and the ability to storytell. And yeah, it had a budget of $5 million in 94, which would be substantial even still now, right? For what it is. But there's so much. And this is something that I don't know if it was Badgers or Gucci Stream or whatever, but I was trying to make the point, and I wasn't trying to like get into like TikTok brain or like short form content. But I was trying to emphasize the focus on the acting ability and the
Yeah, I was
storytelling.
on there with you. You and I got into a little tip about it because
I didn't mean to. I think we had a disconnect on what I was trying to focus on because I was trying to focus on.
I was actually thinking about that afterwards, and I don't know that that's necessarily either of us are wrong because like I was looking at more macro is like, well, it's more than just acting. There's other stuff to it, and then you were focused on acting, and I didn't take that like okay if we hone in on only this, but like so yeah, I get what I get what you mean 100%.
Yeah, I think it started to get expanded into like video games, and I'm like I'm specifically talking about like this is not what people want anymore, typically.
Right.
But with like this is a great example of even a more modern film than I was citing Twilight Zone at the time, but this is a more modern example. Granted, it's 30 some years old, but
yeah, but
it's
the Twilight Zone is like 80 or 90 years old. Not that like what the 60s though.
It holds up.
Yeah, it holds up
60s.
great, but the 60s that's 80 years ago now. Like or 65,
But it still
70,
holds
70
up
years.
when you watch it.
It holds up great. I love the Twilight Zone. I grew up watching it with my grandparents, exactly like you're describing.
It's captivating. The acting is the focus, not necessarily the sets, and the sets are designed to put more focus on the actor in the moment to elicit emotion in general. This movie is so great at the storytelling, like just even like grandfather or Tig teeing up the flashback. And I just love the simplicity of this film, but how many levels and the depth of the characters that you grow to know and understand. And then like bringing it back to the current time where she's putting it all together and she sees her little naked brother running around having tea with a little seal. And so she now at this point goes, okay, ocean, island, what do you want from us? If we come back, give him back. We will live back on the island, have this like what's the word? Not codependent. What's the word?
No, I know what you're trying to think of.
Symbiotic?
Like symbiotic, basically, but symbiotic usually implies one side is actually more down than the other. But I know what you're trying to say, like a mutually beneficial companionship sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. So for the longest time, the families that existed on the island, primarily the Keneally's, had basically this arrangement because the island and the seals surrounding it were family to them. And then when they decided to leave and abandon the family, that's when it got a little wonky and they're a little like hesitant, right? But she's petitioning them now. And she's like, if we come back, will you give Jamie back? So she's trying to put together a plan. Eamon is totally on board, but keeping it secret for now.
Before we hit play, since we were talking about family movies, stuff like that, completely unrelated. It's just me having my own woo-woo moment. So I was thinking about a movie I hadn't thought of in a long time. It's a movie I loved as a kid. I watched with my dad. My dad loved it, whatnot. It was a family-oriented movie, but it was a cartoon. Do you remember the cartoon DreamWorks film Sinbad, like Sinbad the Sailor?
I don't think I saw it.
Okay, well, reason I bring it up is because it's one of those films that when it came out, at least I think a lot of people watched it. A lot of people liked it. I know I did. It it was before DreamWorks was really like all in on CGI stuff. It was like kind of like Prince of Egypt. You know what I mean? What?
Before Shrek. Shrek to me is like the first one that I would recognize the DreamWorks intro.
After the Shrek, but not long after Shrek. It was like in that crossover period before DreamWorks went full CGI. I think it was like maybe it might have been their last fully animated film. But the reason I bring it up, nobody talks about it, nobody remembers it. And I found myself thinking about it the other day. Out of the blue, it just popped into my head. And a few hours later that night, or maybe it was the next night, one of the two, I'm scrolling through YouTube to my recommended page, and what pops up? A retrospective for that movie. I was like, whoa. What are the odds that I haven't thought about this film in years? I never heard anyone talk about it, not seen it mentioned on YouTube, even though we're all going through this nostalgia phase. And out of the blue, after it popped in my head from nowhere, it comes up as a retrospective in my recommendations on YouTube. That's a little odd.
Someone somewhere out there on the internet is on the same wavelength.
I'm going to need you to take over comments for a bit because Vivi decided to sit right in front of the comment section on my screen here, and is also sitting on the cable for my mouse, so I can barely move it. So just so I can't see what's going on in the comment section anymore.
Good. So this is again where she sees Tig. She's mixing the tar. He's showing off for sure. Bunks.
Hello.
I love this exchange.
So have you seen him?
Why does he run from me?
Where do you chase him?
It's my brother. He's lost out there.
He isn't lost at all. He's just with another branch of the family. Why are you looking at me like that?
Don't know whether to believe you or not. People say you're daft.
They have their reason.
Have you
Not
ever
many
seen him?
people have. But when we find each other, there is immediate camaraderie.
But I'm not blind.
I love that. I may be daft, girl, but I'm not blind.
Do we see him one more time at the very end, or is this the last we see of Tig?
That's the last we see of Tig.
Okay.
Yeah, just a couple scenes for him. So this is the point
when
where
they come up with the plan, and we get a montage, and I love the montage. Yeah.
The montage is great. So she's like, bro, cousin, we got to move back. It'll all be okay. Jamie's out there. He's with the other side of the family at this point, but they want us to come back because that's where we're supposed to be, right? Kind of like the Selkie woman. She has this like pull. Grandfather has us pulled at the sea. He's dying inside with the idea that he's going to have to move inland with, because rent and whatever. But they own these homes. And Fiona's like, hey, bruh, we can do this. We've got the muscles. She's so cute. She's like, she shows like her little muscles. She's like, I've been digging clams because they put in a lot of work to restore this place.
They do, and it's again one of the most visually appealing. Not that this movie doesn't have. It's a very slow movie that doesn't have the visually appealing moments are great, like when you see the Selkie shed her skin, or when you have the flashbacks being like tied to the cows. But as a whole, it's very simple, very slow moving, and so this is one of those parts. It's like, oh, it's like it's legit equivalent to what like an action scene would be. You know what I mean?
For this, for a period piece, this is the action that you get.
Yeah. Oh, are you off the now? Thank you.
I'm gonna be right back.
Okay. And the music is so fitting. It's like, all right, let's get to work. And I mean, the resourcefulness of these kids, and since it's a montage, you're supposed to be like it takes place over the course of, I don't know, days or weeks, but oh right, there's lyrics to this portion. And they are putting in the work too. What good kid? Really puts kids nowadays to shame. But like, you see how derelict the house is, how much elbow grease they're gonna have to put in. There's our big action moment. Homie got a machete. I am curious how they got these tools and whatnot. They snake up the grandfather and he didn't know? And if you remember the earlier scenes when she's in here, the floor is all dingy and dusty because no one's been there for ages. So they've taken up the groundwork here. I mean, they are going all in. Eileen or Ellen, I apologize if I butchered that. She couldn't find it like on Spotify, but she has a playlist saved on YouTube.
Yeah, so the playlist is on YouTube. If you look for the Secret of Roan Inish soundtrack, there's a playlist.
Fiona!
And so you know there's been passage of time. He's wearing different clothes. Again, we don't really know how long it took him to restore.
We don't know how long it's been, but these little kids are making bricks. They're whitewashing the stone. Thatch.
Whitewashing? You mean this is Irish gentrification?
Ginger on ginger. He's fishing. See, he was always down to go back
A
to
ginger
that
gentry.
Ginger gentrification. Oh, you did find it on Spotify. Okay. I guess I hadn't looked in a while because I just presumed it wasn't there the other times that I looked for it. So they lost their little like picnic basket of sandwiches. Seagull's like, oh, here's your basket. Empty. Thank you for lunch.
Could have taken the waves and all spilled out.
Do you think that's what happened?
Seagull burps.
Not for a moment.
As somebody that once had a bird that frequently would eat my food, I know exactly what happened.
The freeze frame. Oh no.
I'm so good for me. Look at my muscles.
Well, it's improved your appetite anyway. You came in here as though the hunger of the world was on you.
So grandmother has noticed a change in their... Yeah, see, there's the bricks. Love that. Shit. Put these kids to work. More montage.
Yup.
Meanwhile...
So good.
So good. Little tiny thing.
And what's great is, like, again, with this taking place in the 1940s, almost 50s, like, there is modernity that could be, but that's not what you want the simple living, you want the traditionalism, and
Yeah, but when
that's
we think
that's
about
where the character is.
When we think about the modernization of like technology and that was available in the places that we're familiar with in the States versus how people were still living for quite a bit longer before those types of things.
Well, even in places in
the small
States,
village
like,
towns.
My where my granny grew up, she grew up in the 40s, the 30s, 40s, but they lived like it was the late 1800s. They didn't have electricity. Like when the candles blew out, it was time for bed because they were in the Appalachia, the Smoky Mountains of Kentucky, and it was like there just wasn't infrastructure and stuff like that there. So even though it existed in the cities, they still, again, the way my granny grew up was very down home hillbilly 1800s sort of shit.
Yeah, music does kind of remind me of the Napoleon Dynamite soundtrack. Grandmother's like, why are you so tired? Granddad's still upsetty about like having to move. I mean, they're redoing all of these homes. It's such a cute thing. So, more montage, planting gardens, painting the stones, like it's a whole thing. But then what happens, and this is where we get to like the build up to the end and the big reveal and all that. Like, she's still putting flowers on her mom's grave. So sweet. And then she's having more fever dreams. This touches on so many aspects of family and grief and different levels of loss. Everyone thinking that they lost the baby. She lost her mother. Dad's grieving and how that affects the home. And so like he can't cope with raising a small daughter. So then she goes to live with the like there's so many relatable aspects of this story.
Mother.
And she's kind of a hard ass little kid, right? Like she's tough and stuff, but when it comes down to it, she's still just a little girl. And that scene there was one of those reminders that she's still sensitive and all these things, but
Your mother, is it?
She
Where
can't.
does she come from?
Different time.
Hasn't your father told you that?
Doesn't like to speak of her.
It's too
She
hard.
came from Ballybuffet back in the mainland.
That's the thing too, and that's unfortunate for like little kids, right? So grief tends to make it difficult to have those conversations because it's too painful. But someone like Fiona, who wants to know about her mom, oh no, dad doesn't talk about her. It's too painful. Can't do it. It deprives her of having any connection with who her mom was beyond what she could remember as a small child. So these moments where she gets to ask someone who isn't in that grief space, like her dad, it gives her this extra context about who her mom was that she can connect to. And it's, yeah, I'm such a nerd.
Land. Traveling the
is so
hills in
sweet.
search of a meal and a place to sleep. They was poor.
Everyone.
Her father with no livelihood, only his day's pay. Seldom he had even that. Well, they say the only true wealth is land.
Secret of Roan Inish.
For all the good it does us.
Not quite, Hugh. Jimmy, your father, was my youngest and the dearest to my heart. Oh, but he was a merry boy. Bone lazy at times, and at others you'd never find a worker as keen as him. Like night and day was, depending on the mood that struck him.
Can't put away his head on a young body.
She was in Donegal town one day for the pilgrimage on St. Bridget's Day.
Granddad has such this like poetic way of speaking.
He does. It's so good.
Tig also.
Part of me wonders, do you know anything about the writing process for this script? Like, is this
no?
Because I'm wondering how much of this was like personal experience. This is how people talk about this. Is how his grandfather taught growing up. So assuming the writer was a male, so he's just like writing down from something he knows, or is this like, is he a classically trained writer? And like, there's just something about
there's something about
all
some
the
of
characters
the
speak very definitively different than one another.
and I don't know if it's something to do with just the natural rhetoric of the way that the Irish speak, or a certain generation of the Irish spoke. But the Clancy brothers, they were a music group back in the day, and they also had kind of this like storytelling rhetoric with the way that they presented and did their concerts, and they would tell little stories to the audience before getting into their jam sessions. But I don't know if it's just a cultural thing, layered onto a
Okay, well,
generational.
hold on. You're going a bit far acknowledging the Irish have culture. I mean,
Well, before
Eileen
those
says it's
English
based on
came
the
in.
Blasket memoirs. I don't know what that is.
Blasket memoirs. I have to look that up. But I'm going to pin that for
Which was her
myself.
namesake. 16 years of age. Beautiful, strong Christian girl.
Thank you, Eileen.
Sun or
You are a
stars
wealth
never
of
shone on another
information.
woman.
All right. Eileen
I
coming in
loved her
strong
like a
tonight.
daughter. Our Bridget.
My father was there.
We had a brilliant run on the mackerel that year. Great patch of them, shoaling up behind the island. And our men were barely able to dip their nets in the water fast enough. Your father and Matt Moggan had gone off to the mainland to try and sell what they'd left over.
First time he laid eyes on Bridget, she was leaving the church. And he was struck speechless with the sight of her.
I also love this dynamic between the grandfather and granddad, that they fill in. They're speaking as if they're one person, basically, like filling in, like picking off where the other left off.
Well, this is also, I think, the first and only time, unless I'm wrong, that the grandmother tells a story in this. It's always grandfather, right?
So far, yeah. So this is where she's excited to talk about it because it isn't painful for her. So, yeah.
It was the shyness of an island boy. And she wasn't a worldly girl at all.
Eileen,
Jimmy,
I didn't know that about the
Roan
Ozarks,
Inish,
which is
right to
interesting
be-
because I live, or maybe if I did, because I live in the Ozarks. I mean, I've mentioned this before. I live in the Ozarks, so I don't know if like we just talk about it differently here, or if there's a or what you mean. But I would love to hear more about what you mean by that, because again, I live in the Ozarks, so it's great. So yeah, I'm very interested in what you know about the Ozarks then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Paris, France.
So there he is, making honey in his heart of her good looks. And meanwhile, she's just as struck. With him, a big, handsome, powerful lad, with eyes that melted all the girls. And she's in 100 pieces, wondering what she could do to meet him.
Did he speak to her? What did he say?
Would you like to buy some fish, miss?
It's so
And she said she'd
freaking
love
sweet.
to.
So something that I growing up, you had a different experience. I did have two parents in the home, still married for 50 some odd years, 53 years. I didn't get to know them as people. I only knew them as my parents when they were a certain age, and this was how I know them forever. My sister, being 12 years older, knows them when they were, or knew them when they were in their 20s, let's say. She knew their personality in different phases of their life. I
My
only
mom
really
had me
knew
at like
them.
16, so I got to know her in her 20s as well. Sorry, go on.
I just mean like as a kid, if you don't have the stories and the context, you just know your parent as they are now, and they're always just your parent, and they're all this and that, whatever. And then you hear stories about them, and then they become a person that's beyond just your parent, and it's bizarre to me because like when I was fairly young when that kind of like, oh, they're actually people. They're not just my parents. They're
No,
people.
I
Weird.
actually I get what you mean though, because I actually remember that there's an event specifically with my dad with Papa Paradise where that dynamic changed. It's probably around 16 or so, and I didn't live with him anymore because I was living off with the side of the family, because of the divorce and whatnot. But I was 16 or so, and I was staying with Papa Paradise for the weekend with my my little brother and sister who live with him full time, and we were cleaning out a little like tornado shelter room in our basement that we also use for like storage and whatnot. And we found, I don't remember if it was a box of photos or a photo album and whatnot, but found a picture of my dad, Papa Paradise, when he had just become the father of my little sister. So she's 2 years younger than me. And it is peak 1996, maybe 1997. So even though, because Papa Paradise looks like, you've seen him, imagine that, but clean shaven, wearing the big IT glasses. He's got like a part in his hair instead of having like the short spiky look that he has now. And I was like, oh, well, my back then, my dad I didn't know him as this, but he was probably he's this young up and comer at in the IT job, and he's raising a family for the first time, but he's still like going out to the bars on the weekend because he hasn't quite settled into the family role. And now, and you juxtapose that to like now, if I want to. If my dad misses my call in the summer, so I know he's out fucking mowing the lawn or something, and it's just like it's I don't know, it's great. But I remember seeing that picture and comparing it to what my dad was, and let's say, well, I was 16, so it would have been in 2000 like 9 or no 2008, something like that. Point is, you could just there's a notable difference, and from there you start picking it up more and more as you grow. And now I'm in my 30s, and my dad's 50 something or whatever it may be. Like we're at that point where yes, we are father and son, but now we are friends. And like you never have that as a kid, or at least you shouldn't have that as a kid. That's a mark of bad parenting. You never want to be your parent's
Right.
friend. But
that's the
now
other thing, right? You shouldn't see them as anything that you shouldn't see them as your bestie or like
right,
on the same level, right? They should be your respectable parent
right.
figure. But the idea of my parents having a life before I was born was just such a weird thing. And it's like, oh, they had these things happen and they had fun. They weren't these fuddy-duddies that I only knew. Like, they had interests, they had hobbies, and it's like, huh, weird. They were actually people. Strange. But
Well, Zach,
also
nice to
as
meet you,
I've
brother.
hey, Zach, but also as I've grown up, the realization that they were just stupid kids and they didn't know what the hell they were doing at any given point in time. So that also helped as an adult, like have some perspective. Like, yeah, they were trying, but no one knows anything. Everyone's just doing their best. And some people are just
To this
fucked up.
day, I see, and I still have trouble reconciling that about my dad, because the only times I have those moments are like, or have had those moments, was when I was when I just become a father. So I was very much looking to him for help and advice in terms of like how to be a dad. Or when I was
Mhm.
going through my divorce and knowing like what his divorce is like, not really knowing what his divorce is like with my mom, because it was something that doesn't really get talked about. But like when I started going through mine, the only time that my dad, I was like, oh, he doesn't know everything, because like I'm bad with cars. I'm good with technology and whatnot. I'm bad with cars, So anytime I need anything done with my car, I call my dad like, yo, can we work on it together? Because I just want him to fucking do the work for me. I'm a grown-ass man, but I'm not doing it solo. So me and my dad will work on the car together, and he knows everything. Or before I got into IT, when I didn't know much about computers, my dad worked in IT. He's like, hey, can you help me with so-and-so? And he always has the answers. Then I'm, going through my divorce, like, oh, he's got advice, but not answers. Or I'm parenting. Oh, he's got advice, but not answers. And like, it's just a few key moments where like Papa Paradise is a superhero, but every now and again, there's that tinge of he's not God. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that and I think that's more of like what I was thinking about too, as far as like you go to your parents, they know everything and they're this and they're just your parents and whatever. And then you're like, oh, they're just people? But for this portion of the story, it's really cute. Fill in the blanks for her or give her some sort of happy memory that she doesn't have, but stories from the grandparents about her parents, because her mom died when she was little.
Sorry, go on.
And she's only known her dad mostly because she is so young to be grieving and be in the pub, and he's just disinterested and all that, whatever. So this is kind of like this, I get to adopt a happy memory about my parents that I didn't have on my own. And seeing her grandparents light up when they're telling the story, when they are so sad all the time. This is just a really like heartwarming little moment.
She'd never tasted fish from the salty ocean in all her life, but she hadn't a shilling to her name to buy it with. They fell into talking then. Great with each other immediately, as happens with the young.
Remember the day she came, sitting on the back of the car. And I says to Tess, will you look at the prize Matt Moggins brought back from Donegal? No, she says, for look at how Matt's got his eyes straight ahead at the island. And it's our Jimmy is Roan, so he won't let her out of his sight. And that day,
so
Jim had the name of a steady husband and a hard worker. As fine as any that ever broke bread.
Very proud.
She grew to love the island, our Bridget. She was the last one to marry unto Roan Inish. And the last one to die in it.
He always blamed himself for bringing her into the life of the sea. Life can be hard in the mainland too.
Your hands is getting rough.
Oh, I'm not renovating like 3 cottages. It's fine.
Look at them claws, will you? Gathering for a right blow tonight. Got to be hell's own fury for any creature caught without shelter.
Hope Jimmy comes in.
What's that you're saying?
Said I hope Jimmy comes in. Out of the storm.
What can you mean by that?
I've seen him, Grandmother.
Ah, she just dreamed him up. Sleeping one day.
Don't want to
Roan
upset
Inish.
Grandmother.
I wish it could be a powerful thing.
I saw him once on a hillside picking flowers, and once in the cottage having tea with a seal.
The face
I'm
palm.
not imagining it. I've seen him. He was without a stitch, and then he nipped away in his little cradle boat. It's the seals that's been looking after him.
The seals, is it?
It's the truth, Grandmother.
Grandfather's like, oh shit, you did it now.
Yep.
Grandmother's gonna have a
Well,
fit.
it
She's gonna.
is.
But wait.
And then this I did not see coming. If this is what I think it is, right?
Biscuits up there on the shelf. You get it down for me, love.
Cass.
Yeah.
Oh, and Fiona, put the chickens in their coop like a good girl, will you?
So exciting.
Is she all right?
Yep.
What's that you got
She
there?
she always wanted to believe.
Well, you don't want to sleep out there on the cold ground, now do you?
Did you look at that sky?
I can read a sky as well as you. There's a storm coming.
Yeah,
And it's
smarty
no weather
pants.
to be leaving a small boy outside in.
You love to see it. My heart just grew 3 sizes
I
again.
knew he wasn't gone from us. Holy Mother, I felt it all along. Now hurry on, will you? I'll get the lantern.
They said the Keneally's is the bad one.
Keneally's. It's grandfather.
Yeah.
The hopeful music that's like been a consistent theme with the whole thing. She's so stoic and like such a hard ass of her own. But she's excited. You can tell. I have a friend who didn't know about like Day for Night, Night for Day, the blue film.
Day for night shots, you mean?
Day for Night. So a lot of this ending portion has that blue filter over it to indicate it's evening. I don't know if this in particular this scene has it. Yeah, it is.
Probably is.
Probably is. But my friend Rachel, she had no idea that existed. Like telling her about
I mean,
it.
it
reminded
really
her.
has far back to the original Nosferatu has a famous Day for night shot. Yeah.
It goes way back. I didn't know that about
Where's that
Nosferatu,
Fiona
but yeah.
got to? I need her to help gather seaweed for soup.
Yes.
The seaweed soup that the Selkie woman passed down
Look
for
at them.
generations. The big reveal.
Oh, bless sweet Jesus.
Those big sad eyes.
I almost teared up just now, I won't lie.
I know.
Now this is a soup as only the women of Roan Inish knows how to make.
She learned it from my mother. Lord be good to her.
Who got it from hers? Who got it from hers before that again? All the way back to the first Keneally's.
They learned it from the Dark Woman, from Nula.
There's some as tells it like that. Yes.
Yeah, there's still some skepticism with the origin
Out in
story.
dirty
But
weather. It's like the lifeblood flowing back into your veins.
It's part of the backbone of a wheel.
Jimmy brought it in.
Yeah. You young ones did a great job in this touching.
gotta
We'll
poke
have
it.
his test in a few minutes.
It's a sight to win, Grandfather.
Aye.
So it's a good indicator that we're okay because like the stream hasn't like been shut
Yeah,
down or
right.
anything. So after this long,
Poor little soul.
and I said we were gonna do like an hour, but I'm having too much fun.
I was gonna say that a few minutes ago, but I was like, I'll wait till the end to bring that up because there's stuff going on right now.
Like we're just gonna talk about the movie, maybe show a couple clips.
Nintendo gets away with this all the time, and this whole channel is doing commentary over live movies. So like,
My cheekies hurt from smiling too much. I'm having a good time.
Do you feel it? Like snuffing out a candle.
Look,
That poor kid. He looks so cold.
right?
Oh, poor honey. Okay, fine. He's
You
naked.
do,
but
yeah.
Steve, Fiona, we come back for you.
Brian's
Jimmy,
description.
Don't go. It's your family here.
Seals are like, oh hell
Don't
no.
frighten him, dear.
You take him back. Let's confer. Yeah, we're down to scare this little boy. Let's go. Taking your ride.
Taking your ride. GTA, motherfucker.
Look, yeah.
Heavenly Father, you look at that. They're telling him to stay.
But he's afraid. He's so afraid.
Go. Be gone.
We're sick of looking after you. Go on.
Come on, Jamie boy.
She looks like she makes good cookies and gives nice hugs.
Yeah.
And she pretends to be more cross than she is. If I knew a grandmother.
My
Yes.
granny was very much the same way.
They don't scamper off in too big of a hurry. But once they get to the water, you look out. Fast as fuck, boy.
Do a barrel roll.
Ha!
Why won't he go? Is he retarded? There we go.
There we
There you
go.
go, love.
Yay! Reunited.
And it feels
Like,
so
oh,
good.
finally.
We'll be staying here now. Thank you.
Like, good. We can keep little eyes on you. We'll peek our heads out and make sure you're not going anywhere. Cousins. Or would they say cuz?
Cousins.
Seaweed soup.
Great. I've been
God,
saved by a
love
fox.
his little heart. He's hungry.
What did you love right there? What did you eat?
I wouldn't think he could answer you, Fiona.
I'll teach you to talk. I'll tell you stories. And your friends that have been looking after you can see you any time they like.
Fiona's to thank for finding you, Jamie boy. She gave me her word. I just wouldn't believe it. But when you look at us, back in Roan
He's
Inish,
so happy.
Yeah, I know.
it's like breathing fresh air after being 3 years
I think he's
underground.
happier
Do you
about
remember
being
me,
on the
Jamie?
island than he is about
Your
finding
sister
Jamie.
Fiona.
That's
Fiona.
Fiona. I say that to my dog Fiona all the time.
Twice destroyed with the excitement.
Fiona.
At least you'll sleep warm tonight.
Golden Boy's bigger than you. It's such a beautiful movie.
It really is.
It's fun. I love the flashbacks. I love the storytelling. There's really nothing flashy about this. The most like crazy effects with the Selkie woman shedding her skin, which was really cool, especially at the time in the 90s.
Well, I mean,
it still holds up.
The beauty is in the simplicity.
Yes.
I mean, this absolutely has a.
There it is. Freeze frame.
Yeah, absolutely has a timeless feel to it.
Do you want to do a jig? Does this make you want to do a jig?
Absolutely.
So many names I can't pronounce.
But I did Mick. I did see Mick. I can say that one.
Oh, it's such a beautiful film. I love this so much. Ah. Okay, so went a couple hours instead of 1 hour, but I'm sorry it was necessary.
I'm A-okay with that. This was I've got like so much to say. This more than a stream, more than entertaining, an audience, more than putting on a show. This is just sort of like a passion
therapy
sort of thing. And so after the day I had, which I told you about, absolutely needed this. This is the most I've in the 14, 15 hours I've been awake. This 2 hours here is the most I've smiled all day, and absolutely worth it.
Same. Yay! Leon, thank you so much. We didn't have Brian here, but he did send the video, which was great. DSC wasn't able to make him, but maybe we'll rendezvous back in a month or so, and we'll do another film. But this one was near and dear to me, and I was so happy with your response to it the first time you saw it. I was glad to bring this to the channel today. And Island, I had no idea. She was a wealth of knowledge. Great contributor.
Kidding.
I did make some notes for myself. So I will be looking those things up because that's just fascinating. Leon, what do you have coming up?
I do, in fact, have a stream tomorrow. We will probably start around 3 o'clock p.m. my time, which is 1 p.m. avocado time, which is 4 o'clock for those of you guys that live in New York, which isn't real, the East and whatnot. And we will go for probably about 5 hours for rated in the stream. We are going to start off, do the first 2.5 hours reacting to videos, news, things to that effect. We had a pretty big story today. I don't know if you heard, but we kind of bombed the shit out of Iran. There's some other stuff as well to talk about. So there's a lot of news to cover. And then for the back half of the stream, the final 2.5 hours, I will be breaking out the PlayStation 2 and trying to and reliving my childhood with some Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 for your entertainment. Because as much as people want to call me a fake gamer, grifter that doesn't play games, I've been doing a lot of gameplay streams lately. So yeah, it's going to be a good show. Thank you to everybody that got us to Tier 3 last night that allows for the Sunday streams. And then we've got very good new upcoming news for the future, but it might still be about 2-3 weeks. So keep your eyes and ears peeled.
Stay tuned for more. Moxie Dog is asking for some attention, but almost, my darling.
So is VV.
So for me, there is no Gucci Gang tomorrow, but Monday I have Vex Electronica.
Oh, there's no Gucci Gang. You're right. There is no Gucci Gang tomorrow.
No Gucci Gang. Yeah. So we have a free evening, or you might want to add another stream because you're a mad lad.
No. Me and Cindy had made plans to hang out tomorrow, and she asked when I was free. I said just not till after Gucci's stream. But since there is no Gucci stream, maybe her and I will link up early and watch some anime or something. Not entirely sure because her and we used to hang out almost nightly because June is her busy month. We haven't gotten to hang out in probably like 2.5 weeks or something like that. So we message on Discord. But yeah, maybe we can finally do some gaming tomorrow night or watch some anime or something. So cool. Well, again, I'll miss doing the stream, but it's nice to have a break now and again.
And we need to have a spellcast off at some point.
You're goddamn right we do. Because here's the dealio. Sonia, I know you ain't watching anymore. Maybe if you end up coming back and watching the end of this. But so about three so weeks to go. Stayed up all goddamn night playing spellcasts with Veronica and Sonia and Enzo, and none of them gave me a fucking challenge. It was honestly
Oh
quite
no.
disappointing. Now, to be fair, Sonia did win, but that's because I gave her literally every word. So I mean, I still won. Truly no challenge. So I need you need to play some spellcasts with me. I'm yeah,
Bring it.
and even R2 jumped in and wasn't doing so hot. I was, did you lose your sauce, son?
What happened?
I don't know.
Oh, goodness. Thank you so much, Leon, for revisiting Secret of Roan Inish from 1994. Deep Sixth Flix. I'm channeling my inner Brian. And then, so I'll catch you on the flip side. Thank you, everybody, all 78 of you across platforms, still hanging out on this late night rewatch party. So with that, we will say goodnight, and we'll catch you later.
Deuces.
Be well. Don't get arrested.